Hello, fabulous Women of Whitehorse business members, and welcome to the first of our monthly lunch and learn sessions. We did run these last year via Zoom, but we took a break for a couple of months with COVID. So now we're really excited to be back, and we've got some fabulous speakers this year. Our first one today is Amanda Blesing, and she is a speaker, mentor, trainer, and author. And I'm going to hand you over to Dawn Maxa, who is our facilitator. Just a couple of things before I hand you over. We did a practice yesterday that there was a bit of a lag. So if you notice that the sound is a bit behind someone talking, that's just a technical issue. And if you want to comment at all, you have to allow Ecamm Live to, you just have to give it authority to add your comments in, so allowing your name. Without further ado, I'd like to hand you over to the lovely Dawn, who's our facilitator.
Hello, and thank you for having me on the first of many fabulous lunch and learns this year. I'm excited to join you all. And I'm super excited about our speaker today, the first for the year. Let me introduce you to Amanda Blesing. Amanda Blesing is a speaker, an expert on career and personal branding. As a former CEO, now entrepreneur, executive coach and mentor, she truly understands the tightrope that many people walk on their pathway to the top. Her blogs go viral, her virtual webinars get rave reviews, and her one-on-one mentoring clients frequently sign up for more as they tackle career goals far more confidently and easily. Today, Amanda will talk to us about how to keep on the 7 vital components of subtly powerful self-promotion, because it's not just great for you, it's great for the business as well. Welcome, Amanda.
And hello, Dawn, and hello, Women of Whitehorse. Fantastic to be here. I'm really excited.
Oh, I'm excited to see what you've got to teach us today. I can't wait.
Great. Well, the first thing I'd like for everyone to do before we get into some content is get yourself one of these old-fashioned devices. It's a pen, so there's the pen. It's coming up. There's definitely a lag. You need one of these, because did you know that when you write on a pen and a bit of paper, there's my killer ideas book. Not that every idea I have is a killer, but some of them are. But did you know that when you write things down, when you write down the insights that I have to share with you today, you're going to remember them more. You're going to be able to take actionable insights. So, Dawn, have you got a pen and paper ready to go?
I sure do. I'm all ready, Amanda.
Awesome. Great. All right. Thanks, Dawn. So without further ado, let me take it away, and let's hope that lag gets a little bit better. So feel free to chat with me in the comments if you've got something you'd like to ask, or you've got a comment you'd like to make, an aha moment. Pop that in the comments, and I'll look at responding to them at several points throughout the conversation. I'm going to be asking you today to really assess where you're at now and where you want to get to. Be honest with yourself. Because if you can't be honest with yourself on an online webinar where hardly anyone knows who you are or what's going on, then when can you really be honest with yourself? So now's the chance to do that deep self-assessment. And from there, you'll be able to work out a pathway forwards. One more thing, I wanted to thank Jennifer for the invitation. It was a timely invitation around International Women's Day. Perhaps you went to the walk yesterday, which was, I didn't go myself, and I'm, kicking myself in the foot for not going, because it just looked amazing. So many women and many men taking a stand, ending violence against women, and getting our government to really sit up and take notice of what 50% of the community have to say, and their needs and safety. Okay, let's get down to self-promotion. So my name's Amanda Blesing, as you heard. I am the founder of a program called the Ambition Revolution. I'm a whole heap like a leadership coach, but I just work with women. And often women tell me they've had that aha moment. They wake up one day and they go, oh my gosh, I've spent my entire career making other people look good, prioritizing everyone else's needs above my own. And what I haven't done is that work for myself? So what I do is I teach my clients a fresh approach, a powerful approach to branding, to halve your effort but double your impact. Because I reckon women are busy enough. We've got lots to do. We're in between being given well-meaning but poor advice and the burden of overproof that resides with us. We've got to jump through more hoops to prove that we're actually as good as we really are. People don't believe us in the first instance. I reckon women are busy enough. In fact, I had one client who was told to get herself onto 13 non-profit boards before she would be taken seriously. Now, she was at that time a new consultant, brand new consultancy in an important space. She was a single mum with 2 kids. She didn't have time to get on 13 non-profit boards, but that advice came from someone really senior and well-respected in the board world. So my goal is, once again, to get you to halve your effort but double your impact, because I reckon we're busy enough. We just need to work far smarter. We've been working hard at gender equity for years. It's time we worked far smarter. On that note, let me share my screen with you. Let me take you through some of my thoughts on self-promotion and why it's so tough for women. Okay, there we go. I'm just having a struggle to get my slide deck up. No. Okay, we'll pause that for a minute while I get my slide deck up. Not sure what happened there. So I'll take it out of slide. There we go. Put it back up. Let's have another crack at that. And you'd never guess, but we actually did have a practice run before this. Excuse me a moment while I get my slide deck.
I'll just pop me back on for a minute.
Yeah, we might do that. Thanks.
I think you've just got to have it up on your screen ready to go. So, yeah.
I did, but it just disappeared. We'll try it one more time.
Okay, no worries. We'll pop you back on.
No, it's not there yet, Jennifer. Keep talking.
Okay. That's okay. It's technology and it's live. They know it's live, so
Yeah, and this is one of the things we need to worry about, isn't it? With all our efforts, technology does get in the way. It's a great enabler, but it can be a real detractor and disabler as well. But if it doesn't work this final time round, I will do it without the slide deck. What happens is I can see it just popping up for a second and then it disappears. So something's happening. Chrome tab. No, I'll try one more thing. I'll just turn off my PowerPoint. I'll shut it down and then we'll come back in.
Oh, we can just keep talking. Meanwhile, I can add Dawn in. Hi, Dawn. Did you go for the walk yesterday?
I did go for a walk yesterday. I try and go every day if I can.
Oh, but you didn't go to the March walk, did you?
Oh, sorry, the March walk. No, I didn't. I couldn't get in there yesterday, but I was keenly watching all the social media and the slides that came through from people. It was,
pretty amazing, wasn't it? Do you want to give it another go, Amanda?
Yeah, it's not coming up. So what I'll do is after all that, what I'll do is I'll just present without the deck on screen. In actual fact, as everyone who's an expert on digital presentations know, sometimes the slide deck is a distraction, but I do present this particular topic quite frequently. So as long as I've got my little slide deck visible to me, we'll be fine and good to go. So fantastic. Okay, let me proceed. Thanks for your patience. So when it comes to self-promotion, I think most of us feel really pretty icky about it. No one really loves it. And if you go do a Google search for how to self-promote without sounding like you're bragging, I think you'll find that there's millions and millions of search results. It's one of those things that women and men really struggle with. However, the potential for backlash when it comes to women self-promoting is far greater. You'll probably all know a woman who has nominated for awards and done really well in the awards process, and yet women and men will be criticising her. Like Australia has that tall poppy syndrome. You've probably seen, men who perhaps get it a little bit wrong, and we're a little bit forgiving of men who get it wrong when they're self-promoting. We just sort of think they're smooth, maybe a little bit used car salesman-like. But when a woman does it and she gets it a little bit wrong, we are not as forgiving. So as a society, we really don't do favours for women when it comes to self-promotion. So one of the things I really like to do is teach women how to self-promote with substance, so that you feel like you're not bragging, that it's based in context, grounded in impact, and with a beautiful, impactful result at the end. So that's what I'm going to be taking you through today. So some of the things that, let's face it, women, don't get ahead in their career as easily as men as a result of, some of it's not being able to self-promote as well. Women don't win pay rises in line with their male peers as easily as men. And all this stuff leads us to feeling worn out, a bit exhausted, wondering if we should be bothered, wondering if it's all worthwhile. And I know even in the business, when you're setting up your own business and you're setting up your own consultancy, all this self-promotion stuff is often what you're avoiding. You're happy to promote the business. You're happy to promote your staff. You're happy to champion a client with a case study. But in actual fact, getting out there and doing your own self-promotion makes you feel a little bit ill. So first of all, let's have a quick look at some of the categories from my second book. Yes, I've written 2. Never thought I'd ever write one, but, I think I told my husband to slap me in the face with a wet fish, a bit of a joke. If I ever said, after the first book, if I ever said I wanted to write another one, but within a year, I already had the idea, because it was all about the challenges I was working with my clients with around how to get noticed, how to make sure your voice is, how to make sure you are seen, heard, and valued. So there's my second book, From Invisible to Invincible. A self-promotion handbook for executive women. And the IP that I'm about to share with you today is from that book. So let's take a step back. And right now you might want to get your bit of pen and paper out. Dawn, I know you've got yours there. Jennifer, maybe you've got yours there. So at the bottom of the ladder, we've got what I call the invisible workhorse. Give a busy woman something to do. She rolls up her sleeves and gets stuff done. So she's got a brand of a relentless execution, and people really rely on her to do the work. Now, sometimes either as an executive or even as the business owner, sometimes it's easier to do it yourself than delegate, isn't it? We all know that. You've got a brand of relentless execution. You get stuff done by putting your nose to the grindstone and hard work. At a certain point, you might realise that just doesn't work anymore. That's just not going to work for you. It's a bit tired. It's a bit old. You'll feel tired. You'll start feeling old as you notice that other people don't value it necessarily. You might be feeling like you're being taken advantage of as well. So you need to let go of your workhorse brand if you've got one. Okay, the next level up, and I want to be really clear here, this is not sequential. This is just a label. And I think this next label is something we women are trying to avoid. And that's the label of being the player, the lightweight, insubstantial. The person who's at the opening of an envelope, but no one really knows why she's there. You might have a seat at the table, but you haven't really done the branding work. You're not positioned well. You haven't done the work. What do you stand for? Why is that important? And how do you add value? So that's really critically important that you do that branding work. Otherwise, you'll feel like a bit of a lightweight. You might even get a dose of imposter syndrome. And at a certain point in your career, being a lightweight or being the player won't be enough. Okay, then the next level up, we've got the enabler. And this is really strong for women because women have a strong helper archetype. In the background, we are socialized to be in support of others. It's a socially safe space for us. So when we're self-promoting, we're really good at making other people look good because we know we won't be criticized if we do that. We know how to leverage that too, in your social media posting. If you're very gracious and thank other people, which is the right thing to do, but you know you won't get yourself into trouble. But at a certain point, once again, you might have an aha moment and you go, actually, I'm sick of other people getting the glory for my work. I need to work out how to do this for myself, how I can get some of the glory for the work or my contribution in this bit. I'm tired of making my boss look good. I'm tired of other people getting the recognition. I'm tired of seeing other people's careers or other people's businesses doing better than mine when I know that my work is more substantial. So then the next level up, the enabler category and this next level up are where most of my clients come from. So this next level up is the fixer category. So the fixer, you know, in the movies, how the cleaner who comes through and you know where all the dead bodies are because you probably hid them. I don't mean cleaning necessarily. I actually mean you are really good at solving all the complex problems in your organisation. You know where all those problems are because you solved them. You know where all the dead bodies are because you probably hid them. You're good at strategy. You're great at operations. You're good at blending the two as well. You're great at the people piece of the puzzle. And let's face it, women often have stronger emotional intelligence than men. So it's a real asset. You're really good at dealing with volatility and uncertainty. You're great at solving complex problems. And the problem is you get to the end of solving all these complex problems and you're imagining that by solving the problems that it's just going to open up and your business is going to do better or you're going to get a pay rise, a promotion or a better opportunity as a result of solving the problems. But because you've been head down, backside up, inside the business solving the problem, all you get is another messy, complex problem to solve and someone else gets the glory. Okay, now that's a real problem because that's we know that executive women are not good at self-advocacy, self-promotion, and articulating their expertise. So that's the fix for the fixer. All right, there's an imaginary line here before we talk about the next two levels. There's an imaginary line, and everything below is my career happens to me. Everything above is I create my own destiny. So I'm in charge, the buck stops with me. I can outsource for someone to do it, but I have to take ownership of it. Yeah, I have to own the problem. The buck stops with me. I create my own career, my own destiny. So above the line, we have the highly sought after dynamo who executes self-promotion strategies with comfort and ease. They feel highly sought after. They feel like they're tapped on the shoulder. Not so that they can roll up their sleeves to do the work, not so they can make someone else look good, not so that they can solve and clean up the messy problems that someone else made, but they're sought after for their own expertise, for their own leadership, for the wisdom that comes from all of that. They're sought after for their own awesomeness. Hashtag own your own awesome. Okay. Above that, and our final category is the rock star self-promoter. And these are the people who are, my clients who work with me for over 3 and 4 years, and they are going for global and or national recognition, boards, awards and accolades. They're publishing, they're building profile, they're getting on the media. They're really putting themselves out there to grab attention and grab their fair share of the airtime. All right, so normally what I would do is have my slide deck up and then I'd have a chat with Dawn and say, which category do you think you're in? So it'll be a little bit hard to remember, but I do know you got your pencil out or your pen out and you made some notes. So Dawn, while you're there, which category do you think you might be in and where do you want to get to?
I would say I'm in the fixer category at the moment. I definitely, problem solver. Where would I like to get to? Less of the fixing. I'd like to, just not feel the need that I'm the one that has to fix every problem, and to share that burden with others as well.
Yeah, so you need to be the dynamo, the highly sought after dynamo, so you can guide others, not necessarily do it yourself. So it's sought after for the wisdom of your experience and expertise, sought after for your leadership, sought after for your insights, rather than to do the work yourself. Yeah, great. Now, if anyone on the live has got any comments to say, feel free to pop them in the chat, and perhaps Dawn can feed them into me as we go. Okay, so the process that I use, it normally would come up on the screen like a Venn diagram. So if you picture 3 circles, and the first circle, your executive presence. So what do I mean by that? That's, your energy, your mojo, how you come across on and offline, the clothes that you wear, the tone of your voice, whether you've got the upward inflection at the end of every sentence, or you're really good at doing the downward inflection to command more credibility. So your executive presence is incredibly powerful. In actual fact, probably far more powerful than the words we say. People remember how you make them feel, not what you said. So your executive presence is incredibly powerful. And remember, I said on and offline, if you remember this interesting statistic or this little interesting note, the camera might add 10 pounds, but it reduces your impact by 20%. So when you are online in forums, or you're having to have Zoom meetings or Teams meetings or whatever it is, and you're wondering why you're feeling like a little square on a screen and no one takes notice, then you might need to work out how you can have more impact on screen to command attention. Okay, the second circle would be the personal branding circle. So presence, personal brand, and that's your credentials, your CV, your LinkedIn profile that needs to sell your sizzle 24/7 while you work, your website, your track record, testimonials. That's all part of personal brand. The third circle is your positioning, and we mentioned that earlier, and it's the intersection of your experience, your expertise, and the things that you care most passionately about. Yep. What do you stand for? Why is that important? And how does that add value? And when you can really understand that, do that deep work, you'll feel less like a fraud, far more like you've got something to say, and that people should stop and take notice. All right, so presence, positioning, and personal brand, they're the 3 circles. All right, let's get your pens out again, everyone. Let's get those pens and paper out. I'm going to go through 7 items. 7 items. So it might go in your killer ideas. It's an old joke, really, isn't it? But hey, it works for me. So 7 items. So what you're going to do is I'm going to list something for you. I'm going to throw, I can't throw it up on screen, but I'll talk about it. And you're going to rate yourself between a 1 and a 10. Now, 1, because I'm not very good at it. Yep, I'm lousy at it. I didn't know it existed. I never really knew about it before, and I shy away from doing that sort of thing. 10 is you're a total rock star at this. You're a total rock star. You could probably teach other people. You could do it with one hand tied behind your back. You're awesome at it, and you're super confident, and you've got everything in place to make sure that it really works for you. So are you ready, Dawn? Are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Beautiful. All right. So the first thing, so when it comes to self-promotion in actual fact is a mindset game. It's all about your mindset. So whether you think you can self-promote or you think you can't, you're absolutely right. Yep. Now, mindset, when it comes to mindset, you might have heard of Carol Dweck, and she talks about the 2 areas of mindset. We talk about fixed mindset and growth mindset. So if you've got a fixed mindset, you believe that your abilities, your IQ, your capabilities are capped or fixed in some way. I'm good at math or I'm not. I'm good at gardening or I'm not. I'm good at self-promotion or I'm not. You don't believe it can change. Whereas if you've got a growth mindset, then you believe that your abilities, your IQ, your capabilities can grow and expand. And in actual fact, we know from research that a growth mindset, one, is not only more helpful, but in actual fact, far more accurate. Yes, we can grow our IQ. Yes, we can grow our abilities. But our education system of 30, 40, 50 years ago really was predicated around a fixed mindset. So there's a lot of people here in the Australian community who really believe, have got beliefs and biases, I guess, around mindset that are around being fixed. Whereas a growth mindset is far more helpful. Now, there's one word, if you're thinking or saying, really not very good at this, I'm not good at math, I'm not good at art, I'm not good at science, I'm not good at doing the numbers in the business, I'm not good at the books. If you're saying that, there's one little word I want you to add, and this is the most powerful word when it comes to mindset. And this word starts with a Y and ends with an ET. It's yet. So if you add yet, I'm not very good at self-promotion yet. Okay, so my advice to my clients is, do you regularly do a mindset audit? So do you check in on your mindset? And I encourage a monthly mindset audit. So, monthly mindset audit. Do you regularly check in on your mindset just to make sure you haven't slipped back? You're not doing, going, I can't do that. Can't do that, can't do this, don't want to do that, because that can keep you really stuck, especially when it comes to self-promotion. So, Dawn, I want you to rate yourself between a 1 and a 10 on a monthly mindset audit. Not only do you know all about it, you can teach others, and do you rate yourself, okay? Sorry, and do you audit yourself? Rate yourself a 1 to 10. You don't have to tell me, we'll come to that later. Okay, number 2, systematically managing your beliefs and biases. Why do I talk about this? And I separate this out from just mindset, because I think when it comes to self-promotion, that beliefs, biases and baggage are in actual fact most of the barrier. This is the stuff. This is the stuff when, tall poppy syndrome, when we see someone stick their head up, we see them cut down to size. And in Australia, that's really quite strong. We don't want to be that person that's cut down to size. We don't want to be that person, that who does do really well, and then people make them feel small or talk about them, no, they should be small. Because beliefs, biases and baggage, our beliefs around what women should and shouldn't do, our beliefs around what was appropriate, how it's appropriate for women to dress, or not appropriate for women to dress, how it's appropriate for women to talk, how it's appropriate for women to put themselves out there as business leaders, as leaders, as community leaders, etc. Beliefs, biases and baggage are so substantial and such a driver that they will get in the way of you doing this. So you need to be systematically managing your beliefs, biases and baggage. So I want you to rate yourself right now between 1 and 10. 1 is I never really think about it. And I'm not good at it. I stick with the socially safe stereotype of what's appropriate for women. 10 is I'm a rock star at it. I know about the stereotypes of women, but I'm able to navigate through that with comfort, with ease, and I teach other people how to do this too. And I systematically manage this so that, I know that I'm going to get caught out every now and then because, I'm indoctrinated just like everyone else, because by television, by my books, by the media, by advertising. But I systematically work my way through that on a regular basis. So rate yourself a 1 to 10. Dawn, are you keeping up?
I sure am. It's fabulous. There's so many things going through my head as you're talking.
Great. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So we're up to number 3. So we've only got 7 components and we're up to number 3. Number 3 is, do you actually have a career strategy? And wouldn't you believe it, but most women don't. There was some research done a few years back with Korn Ferry, and they actually interviewed female CEOs and managing directors. And they found out that only a very small percentage, around 12%, said they actually had a plan to get the top job. The rest put it down to happy accident, being tapped on the shoulder, being in the right place at the right time, or someone giving them an opportunity. I find that really fascinating. So that's not 12% of the average population. That's 12% of women who have made it to the top. And I find it absolutely fascinating. Whereas when it comes to men, far more men would say they had a plan to get the top job. And we know that from the same bit of research, but that's done with men. So if you think about it, my mum didn't have a plan for a career. She just had a vocation. She wanted to be a teacher. She never wanted to be anything but a teacher. She loved being a teacher. So my beliefs and biases around what was appropriate for women, shaped by my mum probably. I had to work through that. But it's really important that we do teach our girls, teach our young women the importance of having a plan, because how will you know if you get there, if you don't know where you're going, and you won't even know if you're on the right track. So it's really important that we actually have a career strategy. And that when it comes to self-promotion, it's far easier when you can link your self-promotion efforts to where you're aiming for. All right, so you need to be networking for the jobs you want, not the job you have. Just like you dress for the job you want, your job you have, not the job you have. Just like you write your LinkedIn profile, not about your old career history, but for the jobs you want. Just write your CV for the jobs you want, not the jobs you've got. Okay, so we need to have a career strategy in place, and I highly recommend that you sit down one day and map out something, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, and 10 year. Have a look at the skills required, the gaps to get there, any gaps that you might need to address, any gaps in your network that you might need to address right now. And put a plan together as to what you will need to do in order to get there. Does it matter if you change your mind after 5 years and something else comes up? Absolutely not. And I think that's what some women are worried about. Like, well, what happens if I pick this and then I don't want that in 5 years or 10 years? Doesn't matter. But as long as you've got some sense of where you're going, as I said, you'll know when you get there, and you'll know that you're on the right track as you're going. So rate yourself between 1 and 10 on your career strategy. Do you have a career strategy? Okay, number 4. Now, this is really interesting, and I think I do this talk a lot, and I'd have to say that this is probably the weakest link. People haven't done this work. I guess that's why I exist. That's why I have so many clients. Okay, so do you have a clearly defined leadership brand that you can tailor for the various audiences that you need to perhaps get in front of? So do you have a clearly defined what's in it for the listener leadership brand? So what do you stand for? Why is that important? Does it add value? This is all around positioning, you know. What's that beautiful intersection between that, your expertise, your experience, and the things you care most passionately about? Did you know that having a sense of purpose and a sense of passion are both really strong depressors of the modesty norm? And the modesty norm is that thing that gets in the way of us wanting to self-promote. So do you have a clearly defined what's in it for the listener leadership brand? Okay, number 4. All right, we're up to number 5 now, and this is fun. I love talking about this. You might have seen that on my tagline. I often call myself a visibility expert because I help women become more visible, from invisible to invincible. Sorry, I help people become more visible, not invisible, from invisible to invincible, yeah? So do you have a clearly defined visibility strategy? Now, what does that mean? Do you sit down in January every year and map out the opportunities for you to be seen, heard, and valued by your network, internally inside your organisation, with your immediate stakeholders, and then externally to industry more broadly? Do you sit down and do that work in January? Now, have a think about this. At one end of the spectrum, and this might be a 1, we've got Nigella, no friends, and she's a workhorse. And she sits in a cubicle and she does lots of hard work. She has the brand of relentless execution. She doesn't believe in networking because it's never really worked for her in the past. She's a bit uncomfortable and she doesn't like to talk about herself and can't really see, you know, she's had a bad experience with the networking stuff, doesn't like it. So she doesn't really believe in the networking, so she doesn't do it. She gets a bit resentful because she sees some of her colleagues going out for lunch every now and then, or perhaps getting onto online forums and webinars and networking that way. And she gets a bit resentful because she's the one doing all the work. At the other end of the spectrum, we've got someone who I affectionately call Gary Gantt Chart Man. And Gary Gantt Chart Man is a real person, and he runs a Gantt chart on his networking strategy. So what do I mean by that? Like, he ranks his network on how helpful they have been to him in the past. He ranks his network on how helpful they might be to him in the future, who they are connected with, when he's likely to see them next, when he saw them last. You know, he also does all that CRM stuff, you know, how many kids they've got, all that sort of stuff. You know, keeps a really rigorous record around his networking and opportunities to be more visible. Okay. Now, one thing I don't think Gary does well, I think that what Gary does is busy work, because he networks morning, noon, and night. Now, most women I know, one, don't have the time to do that because we're busy picking up the pieces after everyone else at home and at the office, and we've got the burden of overproof. So we're just not able to do that. So if you were going to rank yourself a 10 on your visibility strategy, you plan it out at the beginning of the year, you consider internal, immediate stakeholders, customers, etc., and then the industry more broadly, and you've got some sort of Gantt chart, maybe a plan around it. If you were going to give yourself a 10, I'd want you to include some emotional intelligence and room for ad hoc. So important, those ad hoc introductions, so important. But I also want you to prioritize for impact. Prioritize for impact, #prioritize for impact, because you want to be attending the events where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. If you are attending an event, you need to work out, well, how can I make sure I am seen, heard, and valued? Can I ask a smart question from the back of the room? Otherwise, all you are is just a player going to something. You're going to everything, but no one knows what you stand for. All right, so visibility strategy. Do you have a visibility strategy? And I gave you an example of a 1, and I gave you even how to get maybe an 8 and maybe a 10. Okay, we're up to number 6. And this is the one I think everyone really struggles, another one that people struggle with. Number 6 is, do you regularly speak to your results? And what I mean by regularly is, do you weekly talk about your results? I bet you don't. So I encourage my clients to implement what I call the Friday achievement formula. It helps them, own their own awesome. It helps them own their expertise. It helps them own their results. And I encourage them to share about it too, because it helps them learn how to speak about it without feeling sick, without feeling a bit icky, and to really use a good formula so it's, based in context and grounded in impact. So the formula goes like this. Every Friday from now until the end of eternity, you are going to collect the following information. What did I achieve this week for the business? What did I achieve this week in the business? Yeah. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is quantify or qualify. So can you put a number on it? And would you believe, I do lots of CVs, and most women miss out on quantification. We are not, I think we don't come from disciplines that have traditionally quantified the outcome. So we haven't collected that evidence. Now, you better start that now, because it's really hard in 5 years' time going back and going, I haven't got any data, and how do I get that from a company I left? So start doing this now. Quantifying the results. So it might be that you sold a $10,000 program, but to a client, but year on year over 5 years, that's a $50,000 anticipated result, because that client's going to generally hang around for 5 years. I want you to start quantifying. If you can't quantify, qualify. So collect evidence. So someone said it was the best ever. It was nominated for an award. It was featured in the press. It was, so some sort of qualification. So it's not just you saying you were good, but you've got evidence from someone else, or that someone else has recognised that you're good. Okay? And the third part of the formula is expertise, your expertise, that enabled you to deliver this result. So what was your expertise? So, what was the thing you achieved, the business goal? Quantify or qualify, and then claim your expertise. Now, what you do is you put this in your journal, every week, do that work every week, and it helps you if you're coming up to a time when you need to fill out an award. It helps you when you need to perhaps talk with the media about some of the work. It helps you when you're developing your website and you need some case studies from clients. And if you are working inside a business and you're going for a promotion and you've got a performance appraisal, it helps you when you want to, really helps you with your LinkedIn. So I highly encourage the Friday achievement formula. But rate yourself a 1 to 10. Are you doing this work, and are you talking to people about your wins and results? So are you sharing the impact of your work on a weekly basis? Okay, we're up to 7. We're up to the 7th thing. Yay! This one, I hope that you're actually high score, because this is probably the most important thing. When it comes to self-promotion, it's really hard to do if you're worn out and exhausted. So are you giving yourself per day of stress and well-being management, whether that's exercise, whether that's meditation, gardening, whether that's cooking, and because you love cooking, not because you're doing it to feed people, because it's a chore. I don't care what your thing is, but are you doing 30 minutes a day of looking after yourself, your mental and physical well-being? Because exhausted, the last thing you'll feel like doing is going to a networking function. You're far more likely to want to sit at home and drink red wine and eat Tim Tam biscuits or whatever it is, and watch reruns of Bridgerton. Did anyone see that? Oh my gosh. All right. So what I love about this is, once again, Korn Ferry research, when they were interviewing managing directors and CEOs, women, they did ask about this particular question, and the women did prioritise it. But when I was then running this same session at Gartner, a Gartner roundtable for female managing directors and CEOs, what I loved was around 80% of these women said that they did do this, and they also made their executive leadership team do this. They prioritised this because they found that when they did this, they were better, and so were their team. So this is really, really important, not just for your self-promotion efforts, but for the success of your business. So, Dawn, we've come to the end. We've got our 7 things. The first one was mindset. The second one was systematically managing beliefs and biases. The third one was career strategy. The fourth one was your brand. Have you got a clearly defined leadership brand? The fifth one was, do you have a visibility strategy in place? You need to be seen by the right people at the right time with the right key messages. So you need to be seen. The sixth one, do you weekly speak to your results? And you've got to collect the evidence in order to be able to do that. And I gave you a formula. And the seventh one, are you looking after yourself? Your priority number 1 should be you. There you go. So Dawn and everyone who's listening, what I want you to do is just have a quick tally of your list and work out what is it, what's your high score or what's your low score. So, Dawn, what's the thing you do best?
It was a mix for me between number 1, the monthly mindset audit, and the stress management, the 30 minutes per day. So I put myself down to 7 for both of those.
Well done. Congratulations. You're on your way to being able to self-promote far more easily and effectively. Okay, good. All right. Where's the area that you're going to get the most bang for your buck? Where's the area you want to work at most?
The clearly defined visibility strategy, for sure. I think I'm not very good at that at all. And you've highlighted that gap for me today.
Yeah, okay. And that's really easy to fix. And you don't have to do it in January, although I find that in January, that's a great time. I run workshops at the beginning of the year for my clients, and we all get together and fill out a calendar of events and making sure that we consider all the right things. Don't forget your online visibility, add that in, whether that's a weekly schedule of a social media posts that's on brand for you and in line with your career strategy, or whether it's a monthly post on your social media. I'm a fan of LinkedIn, and one of the things that I really encourage my clients to do is to beat that algorithm with at least 1 post every 30 days. It means you turn up in a much narrower search option, and we want your profile to be at the top of the search criteria as closely as possible. So every 30 days, a minimum of once every 30 days, post on LinkedIn if LinkedIn is your poison. I just wanted to, before we go on, I just wanted to mention a couple of, or one woman in particular who I have to say, she's a client of mine, and I'd have to say at the moment she's my total rock star client. I just love talking about her because when she came to me, she was a bit unhappy. She'd lost her job, and she'd been made redundant in not great circumstances. She was a super high performer, and there'd been a leadership change, and the new leader didn't value her way of doing things. She was really good at promoting her team. She was really good at selling supporting her team, promoting her team, telling others about how good her staff were. Her team were amazing and delivered great results because they loved her form of support. They loved her collaborative, inclusive leadership style. However, with the new CEO didn't value that style. He wanted her to be delivering results or be seen to be delivering results herself. And certainly he needed her to be able to talk about the results she was delivering. So she missed out. She had a unfortunately poor performance appraisal and then ended up being made redundant out of the business. So I'm really pleased to say that when she came to me, we did a lot and then a lot of work around landing the right career. But when she came to me, she said, Amanda, if I was being super confident, what I want is a great new job with a brand that I really, really value. And the other thing I want, and she said this as a joke, she said, I'd like to be in the position of being booked to speak and turning down speaking opportunities as the industry expert in my field. Well, 2 years later, she rings me up. She says, oh my gosh, Amanda, have I got good news to share with you? I've just, I've been in my job for a while now and it's going really well. She said, I've been listed in the top 20 women in IT, some article, she said, I've been listed in this article as one of the top 20 women to watch in IT. And she said, I've just been nominated for an award. One of my suppliers nominated me. So now I have to do something about that. And we helped her get her nomination sorted. And finally, she said, and remember when I came to you, I said I wanted to be able to be booked to speak all the time and I wanted to turn down speaking opportunities? She said, well, I'm doing that. She said, during COVID, I got invited to speak at so many events. She said, I've had to start turning them down or I couldn't do my job. So it was a real, I just love hearing stories like that of women who, take this advice on board, who do something about it, build their confidence, get the support they need, get some strategies and organisation in place to be able to support them, to prioritise doing the self-promotion work. Because it works. It's not just good for you, it's also good for your business too.
Fantastic.
Cool. So there you go, have it. I think that's all that I've got for you today. If anyone wants a copy of my book, it's available on my website or on Amazon. I've got 2 books. One is Step Up, Speak Out, Take Charge, probably more relevant for those inside an organisation and in a job. And my second book, From Invisible to Invincible, which is more suitable, that's suitable for anyone who needs to be able to self-promote, anyone who wants to be able to profile build, get their brand out there and not sound or feel like you're bragging and being icky about it. Do it with confidence and substance.
Fantastic, Amanda. And where's the best place for people to get in contact with you?
Well, the best place would be my website. And I can see we've got the lag going again. It's a bit funny, isn't it? Yeah. That's all right. The best place would be my website, www.amandablesing.com. That's a blessing in disguise. 1 S in blessing. Yeah, I know that's an old joke. And the other place is on LinkedIn. I'm a little bit of a LinkedIn ninja. I've got around 21,000 followers. I post just weekly. I'm pretty strategic because that's what I teach my clients. Stop being busy. None of this daily posting business. It's just too distracting. Just focus on one bit of great content per week. And that's what I do myself, and it works. You can find me on LinkedIn. Once again, Amanda Blesing. And I've got some post-nominals after my name. The post-nominals are FARPI. I'm a fellow of the Australian Risk Policy Institute. Yeah. Oh, so there you go, Dawn.
Oh, I've got a few questions. Do you mind? Can I ask a couple of questions, Amanda?
That would be fine. Great. I'm so pleased.
I was taking so many notes. I was scribbling down as I'm listening. But I loved a couple of years. So half your effort, but double your impact was really powerful for me. And own your own awesome, I loved as well. They were too valuable. But just in terms of why do you think it is? I mean, I've grown up and I was, we get told so many things as women that we need to be humble. We need to, dress a certain way or talk a certain way. And do you think this is why there you go. Own your own awesome, the lag there again. Do you think it's primarily those stories that we've been brought up with and that we're telling ourselves as to why we as women find it so hard to self-promote?
I truly think the media, television and advertising industry have a huge part to play in this. Let's face it, they don't sell to us by making us feel good. They sell to us by making us feel bad about ourselves. We're not thin enough. We're not pretty enough. Our skin is not elastic enough. We're not modern enough. We're not trendy enough. That's how advertising really works. And, let's face it, we women have, most magazines have been pitched at women. Magazines for women have been around for years. I love that Ita Buttrose is famous for saying now that, and Ita Buttrose, for those who might not remember, she was the editor of Women's Weekly, which is that, glossy magazine for women, encouraging them around good housework, etc. But she's famous for saying a clean house is the sign of an empty mind. And I love that because it's so ironic. And
yeah.
But I think that these messages normally for women around, that we're not good enough, I think that's one of the main reasons that we toe the line, and we don't, and we're worried about the potential for backlash. Let's face it, there is backlash, stronger backlash for women when we get it wrong, and I mentioned that before, and I talk about that in my book, the backlash effect. And I think Susan Faludi years ago wrote about backlash, so it is a big issue, but we've just got to work out a way to navigate through that. Checks and balances in place. Have someone that you work with, or friends, peers that you might check in with, just to make sure it's not just your fears keeping you small, your worries, your own biases and baggage keeping you small. Because that might be the thing that's stopping you. Yet in the eyes of other people, you're actually just doing, being normal, owning your own awesome.
Yeah. Which is great. Look, I feel like you've given us this amazing to-do list here. You've managed to give us some things to do and to follow, but in such a simple way. You've highlighted some gaps that I know I need to work on personally. So I'm hoping that that's the same for many of our other watchers right now. And it's just been fabulous. I've really enjoyed hearing you speak today, and I'm certainly going to go out and get your book now. I'm keen to hear more. An hour or 45 minutes doesn't seem enough. But thank you so much for joining us, Amanda. And I'm so sorry about all the technical issues. It's a credit to you, your professionalism, that you just forged ahead anyway, despite the lag and despite not being able to get your slides up. So I think that speaks volumes about who you are as a person and in business as well. So many, many thanks for forging ahead and doing the presentation.
Oh, thanks, Dawn, and thanks, Jennifer, in the background, for your patience. It is funny, isn't it? We tested those slides twice. We've tested the technology. We knew there was something going on, didn't we? Because we knew the lag was happening, but we went ahead anyway. And I have to say, this is a topic that I could talk about this topic, while I'm asleep with a mouthful of marbles underwater. It's a topic I'm passionate about because I think it's one of the things that women from feeling successful when we can't self-promote, we're worried about what's going wrong. It is a real inhibitor for our career success. So if we can nail this, I think if we can master this, then I think we'll do far better.
Yeah, and you're right. It's about holding ourselves back. I think we're fearful of tooting our own horn in case the stories are getting told. She's up herself, or she's she's way too confident, and all the stories. But sometimes it's just the stories we perhaps think, the comments that we think are going to come back to us, but they're just stories in our own head, and we're holding ourselves back. So I really got a lot out of that today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely. Well, that's the wrap up of our first lunch in the year. We're looking forward to next month. And thanks, Amanda. We really appreciate you coming on board and being our first for the year. Unfortunately, yeah, the technology, hopefully we get that better for the next time. It's the one thing we can't control, but much appreciated. And yeah, don't forget to check out Amanda's book and hop onto our website. Yeah, we'll speak to you really soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Amanda.